Hello there and welcome to this video that is being shot from inside my car. I've never done a YouTube video from in my car before, so my car is getting to experience something so new and exciting. This is a little duck puppet that I've had from when I was very little, and I've decided that I'm gonna start bringing him everywhere with me, because if I ever get sad, then he can just quack at me, because how can you be sad when there's a duck quacking at you? And that's my life philosophy. So I wish I could give you a car tour, because my car, his name is Barry, like blueberry, because I drive a Prius, and it's a blue Prius, and it's my favorite thing in the entire world. And he gets me everywhere I want to go, and we go on all kinds of fun adventures, and it's a really great time. I have a flower on the antenna of the top of my car, and I have little flowers and ladybugs on my license plate. So if you ever see a blue Prius driving that looks like a little kid's car, that is definitely my car. He'll be driving the car. So I was watching Lady Bird last night, because this is literally the most exciting thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life. So my film Bloom, which is a claymation film, was in a film festival. It was this live stream event with these guest speakers. And the day before the festival, I learned that the guest speaker was Greta Gerwig. So, okay, I'm just gonna tell a quick story time and then we'll get into the video, which basically video today is going to be me giving some tips on how to be productive during the pandemic and how to make the most of the quarantine time. But I need to talk about this really quick because it was so exciting. Livestream film festival. My film's in this festival. I learned the day before that Greta Gerwig is going to be a guest speaker on this festival. So my immediate reaction is oh my god, Greta Gerwig is going to watch my film. Literally life goals right there, I'm not kidding. That's what I was thinking. And then, the day of the festival, after I had kind of told all of my family and everyone about the festival, I come to learn that only the award-winning films are going to be screened. So I'm okay, I'm texting my mom and my family. I'm okay guys, my film's not actually going to be screened, but still I'm sure it'll be cool, because Greta Gerwig will be talking and it'll be this whole event and whatnot. So I watched the festival. It's Greta Gerwig there on Zoom on my TV, because we hooked it up to my TV, and it was super inspiring to hear her talk. I think she has such a unique perspective, and I feel she doesn't say the things that people normally say when it comes to interviews, because I feel a lot of people get asked the same questions and stuff, but she definitely has diverse ways of answering her questions in a very intriguing way that her brain works, I guess, and you kind of get an insight into that when you watch her speak. So it was really cool to watch her speak in the first place. And then they announced the winners, and my film won the festival. And then they played it on the live stream, which means that Greta Gerwig watched my film. How awesome. I'm just so excited. I'm still in awe. It was just the best moment, because I was sitting there and they're announcing the winner. I was just not expecting anything to come of it. And then they were just Bloom by Ella Fields, and then my family, everyone was jumping on me, and it was a really amazing and special moment, and I just felt so inspired. And it just reminded me once again that film is just what I love to do the most. So that was just, I'm sorry, that was just a little thing that just kind of came up right now. Point was, where did I even start with this? I don't know. Okay, I watched Lady Bird yesterday as a post Greta Gerwig watching my film treat. The Deuce is that parking lot, sitting on a car, and then he's tracking devices, whatever. That scene is filmed walking distance from my house. So that's where I am right now. I'm deucing it up, guys. I should probably get into the video, because that was the longest freaking introduction in all of the history of the world. So yeah, today I'm going to ramble at you about how I have kept a positive mindset and a good source of productivity during this very strange time of the pandemic and of quarantine and everything. Luckily, I've been able to kind of keep my feet on the ground and make things and just make the most of this period. But I am also very aware that at the same time, this is very challenging for a lot of people for so many different reasons. I feel like one thing, just kind of starting off, that's like super crucial right now is to just educate ourselves on what's going on, other people's situations, not discrediting our own situations at all, because I really don't think that that's necessary to do that, because, you know, everyone's going through very diverse things and everyone's feelings around it are completely valid, because it's just such a weird time for everybody. But just being mindful about what other people are going through and offering support, maybe being a rock for someone in our life, or maybe reaching out for help, or whatever it is, just being conscious and aware of what other people are going through. I think that's very important. But today I'm just going to kind of explain how I've stayed sane during my own situation. I'm not like a professional on any of these topics at all. I am speaking from nothing but my own experiences and my own insight. So the first thing that I want to talk about is boredom. This is just the main thing that stems and is kind of the umbrella of any kind of productive work during quarantine. I really think that this is the very, very, very most important thing. Allow yourself to be bored, especially living in a time now where we just have so much stuff, like always, like that we can watch and we can do and see and talk to and whatnot, just with like our phones and everything. Find that we have a very short attention span for being bored. I think a lot of times we can use our child selves as an example of how to be in our lives, and I always try and find inspiration from who I was as a kid and the way I thought as a kid. I think one thing that's so prominent about being a kid is that we had so much time to just veg out and to be bored and to make random things. Growing up, obviously there's obligations that come with life and with being an adult, but also we're more aware of these distractions that we have and these ways that we can entertain ourselves and just constantly be entertaining ourselves, you know, getting the dopamine of like checking social media and like blah 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 blah, like all this stuff. Most important thing during this time, because there isn't much stimulation other than the stimulation that we feed ourselves, the most important thing is to allow yourself to be bored. Power off your phone, and I mean this when I say this. I feel like this is the only way that I'm able to truly tap into my most creative self, is to power off your phone. Because here's the thing, when I'm working on something or when I'm just like sitting there, first reaction that our brains have is to grab our phones and grab a distraction and grab something that's easy to do, and that'll make us feel good. I feel like it's like a strange kind of layer that you have to get past. It's like a wall you have to like break down. Once you get past that impulse of grabbing for the immediate distraction and entertainment, then you will sit back into the moment and be like, okay, what else can I do? And that's the moment, the very, very crucial moment that allows your mind to expand and be like, okay, what else can I do in this moment? Everything I've created and everything that I've created that I've been proud of has stemmed from that moment of not knowing what to do next. So I'll be writing and I'll get writer's block and be like, okay, whatever, and then just grab for my phone. If my phone isn't there to distract me from that moment, then I'll be like, okay, how can I move forward? The moment of moving forward is usually the moment that leads to greatness. We are stuck with our thoughts for the rest of our lives, no matter where we go, no matter where we move, no matter who we're with. Instead of trying to distract ourselves from our brains, we should allow ourselves to be bored and in turn become besties with our brains, because now is honestly the perfect time to just train your mind to be there for you and to support you, even though that's a lot easier said than done. You'll never be able to fully become besties with your brain if you're always trying to run away from it. One thing that I do that helps a lot is I try and set aside time every day to sit and to think and to daydream and to think about who I want to be in the future and what I want to work on and what inspires me and who I love. All of this umbrella of things comes from allowing yourself to not latch on to these simple, easy distractions that we use to just kind of run away from our thoughts. It's time. This is a sign that it's time to befriend the little voice up there. So here's another thing that I have learned about life, I guess, during this quarantine time. And it definitely applies right now, but I really think it also applies during like whenever this is over and other parts of life. There is no reason to feel guilty for doing anything. And that's one thing that I found that I struggled so much with before this quarantine. I would be hanging out with my friends and then I would feel guilty that I wasn't at home like doing work. or I'd be relaxing and watching a movie or watching YouTube and feeling guilty that I wasn't creating or being productive, or I'd be creating and being productive and I'd feel guilty that I wasn't out socializing with my friends, you know? We only have so much time on this earth, and definitely we need to spend it wisely, but spending it wisely does not mean always being on the run or always doing something productive. Spending it wisely is doing what you feel like doing in the moment. If you really train this muscle, say, okay, I feel like watching a movie, I'm gonna watch a movie, and I'm gonna watch a movie with every ounce of my energy that I can, and I'm gonna be completely drawn into this movie, and I'm not gonna feel guilty about watching this movie. It works both ways, because on the other hand, if you have a moment where you feel super inspired and you really want to write a song, then you need to focus in, write that song with every ounce of your energy that you can muster up to write that song, and you need to just do it full force. So if you feel like doing something, do it with everything that you've got. Here's something else that I really love. I think that it is so exciting to be terrible at something. Hear me out on this one. There's this quote from this book that I really love by Patti Smith. It's called Just Kids, and I can't remember like exactly how the quote goes. It says something about being an artist without a medium, which I think is so interesting, because I think there are so many people who are artists, but sometimes it's tricky to find the right thing that feels that it expresses you in like the perfect way. There's so many different forms of art and of expression and everything, and I find that they all tap into different parts of the human psyche. So I've always been very passionate about filmmaking, because I always felt that kind of tapped into my mind and the way I think of things the best. But I was kind of having a crisis in the few months or a year or however long leading up to this quarantine, because I was starting to question if maybe there is another form of art or form of expression that would better explain what's in my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've always credited myself on knowing kind of what I like most and what I feel most passionate about. So much more in the world to try and to create. I'm like, what if I'm doing the wrong thing? The thing was that film was what I was comfortable with, and it was what I was best at, and I didn't want to try writing a song. I didn't want to try painting because I wasn't good at it. Like, why would I spend my time doing that if I'm not good at it? This is kind of the biggest thing that I've learned during quarantine. In trying these forms of art, I realized that I totally sucked at a lot of things. But in a weird way, sucking at these things was very humbling to me, because it kind of made me realize that being bad at something doesn't mean that it's not what you're meant to do. There are a lot of things, let's say for instance, making music. I had never made music in my life before quarantine, and I really was not good at it, but it also tapped into a part of myself that I never had really tapped into before, and it was really refreshing to feel that. And it also taught me that I like to make music, feel that it expresses a part of myself that maybe I can't get with film or anything else. Then that kind of opens up a new pathway of life, is working hard to be good at something and being okay with being bad at something but doing it anyway. And I think that that's so difficult to do. Give yourself permission to like completely suck at something. On another note, that's another kind of way to avoid writer's block, or to kind of get yourself out of writer's block or just any kind of creative block. Sit down and create something, but go in with the intention of creating something terrible. If you can't come up with a movie idea, come up with 10 movie ideas that are the worst movie ideas you could ever think of. If you can't think of something to paint something that no one would ever want to paint because it's just so absolutely terrible. If not that, then paint for 10 minutes, or write for 10 minutes, or give yourself permission to do something for a short amount of time. Because I find that once you kind of get past that initial block of not knowing what to do, you start to get in the flow and you start to be able to think on wider levels and deeper levels and create better things. Art is weird. Like, art doesn't make sense, and it doesn't need to be perfect because it isn't perfect, and it's not supposed to be perfect. So the things we create are not good, are not award-winning, or I don't know. Like, I think a huge part of it is just giving yourself permission to just make something that's not very good, or just to suck at a certain hobby. And I find that that really takes you back a step, but then will end up propelling you forward more than you could have if you just didn't do anything at all. One last note that I kind of want to touch on is to take this time to get to know yourself. Try so many different things. Try waking up and making a list of everything you need to do and planning out your day and going by a routine, And then maybe try having a day where you don't have a routine and you just act on your impulses and do what you feel like doing in the moment. Ask yourself, do I work best with a set routine, or do I work best like acting on my impulses? Do I work best with people and on collaboration, or do I work best alone and when I just have time with my own thoughts and without judgment? Like, do I work best in my room, or do I work best outside? You know, it's even if you're not being productive in creating things during this time, I think that being aware of your actions and being aware of your thoughts, whether you're creating or not, it helps you to learn more about yourself, which is a very valuable thing to have, is a sense of self. If you do realize that you're having trouble creating things right now because you don't work very well alone, that is a very important piece of knowledge that you can take with you for the rest of your life, being like, okay, I thrive on collaboration, so when I do have the chance to collaborate with people, how can I make the best of that? And any kind of knowledge you can take from this time is important, even if you're not being super productive in creating things. And if what you need right now is a break to just veg out and watch TV or be on your phone or whatever, if that's what you really need for yourself, then do it and don't feel guilty about it. The thing that I always tell myself is to be present for the moments that I feel alive. Whether it's feeling absolutely heartbroken or anxious or grateful or inspired or whatever it is, it's just sitting back in the moment and saying, what do I feel? Where do I feel it? What can I do about it? And how can I sort of intensify every emotion? Because these are all human emotions, and this means that we're alive. Like, this is so crazy. Like, this means that we're living. Can we take these feelings and utilize them and incorporate them into our lives and into our art and grow and learn? And it's just, it all stems from awareness and paying attention. Paying attention is the most important tool you can ever have in your tool belt, in my opinion. So be okay with whatever you're feeling and do whatever you want to do, and go outside, power off your phone, be bored. Be bored. Be as bored as you can, because I promise that on the other side of that will be something super awesome. Take care of your mind and just cut yourself some slack, because these are very intense times, they're different times, and be okay with whatever you're experiencing. And just remember what it feels like, and journal a lot. Journaling is so helpful, and keep wishing for it to go back to normal. Use this very, very crucial time and the lessons that you're learning, and then apply them into your life when we go back to whatever normal life is, because life is always crazy. Like, what is normal life? Like, who even knows? You can do it. I believe in you. Those are kind of my main tips on how to make the most of this time. That was just kind of jumbled. This is another kind of brain barf moment. It's getting hot in my car, so I think I might peace out for a little bit. But here, if you're sad right now, I'll literally give you a duck quacking at you right now so you won't be sad. Okay, ready? Have a wonderful day, and if you have any questions about what I just talked about, make sure and comment or DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is ellafields with 3 L's. I hope that this was helpful in any way, shape, or form. And if it was, let me know and I'll just keep talking. I guess I just kind of ramble, but you know, it's okay. Have a lovely day. Mwah.